Hi, my name is Rachel and I'm a final year advertising student. Today I want to talk about a topic that may not be a stranger to some and sometimes can also be a quite scary topic. Loneliness. It is something that I myself have gone through as well. In this video, I will share my thoughts on it with a Catholic perspective. So loneliness can be a very painful and empty feeling. It may even cause us to be a constant state of sadness. Oftentimes, we choose to put on a mask to show the total opposite of how we're feeling inside. Perhaps you felt this way before. I know I, for one, have done that countless of times. I started off not knowing what to do, but here I am today, sharing about what helped me and what I hope may help you as well. I will start off by saying that there isn't an instant fix for loneliness. There is no one solution that we can just snap our fingers and stop ourselves from feeling that way. But there are always ways to cope with it. In this video, I will speak of 4 steps to help in coping with loneliness. So first step, I think, is to recognize our emotion and thoughts that goes through our mind. In this case, it helps me to be aware of what I am feeling and thinking in the moment. We need to realize that loneliness is a part of the human condition and it isn't something that we can choose to stop feeling. It is important to treat loneliness as a friend instead of a stranger. Sometimes change can be scary. To me, change is as simple as being alone after long periods of being around with people. I used to find myself in tears when I cannot handle change, even small changes, and I still do sometimes, but I've come to realize that we have the capacity to adapt and embrace the change. This means that I do not let it turn into loneliness or depression. In times like this, I bring it to prayer and take the opportunity to draw closer to Christ, who brings me great comfort. This can also be a physical person in your life. Maybe someone that you're close to and is able to walk with. Be someone who can acknowledge your feelings and keep you from falling into the pit of loneliness. So not too long ago, I took a brave step to see a counselor. It was scary because of the social stigmata and the negative perceptions towards it, but it was also very helpful for me. One very good question my counselor asked me was whether, am I truly lonely or do I let myself be lonely? I think that what she means by that is that sometimes things can get very overwhelming pretty fast. In university especially, during our peak season, our peak period where every assignment they can possibly throw at us are due at the same time. So to me, social interactions too can be quite draining during these periods. Her question made me reflect on my past decisions and to really look back on whether it was on my part that I decided to be alone or was it my friends that decided to leave me out. So point number 2 is this, to be aware and to question ourselves of the position we are in. Looking back, perhaps it was God's way of asking me to turn to Him, to trust to Him and seek my worth and identity in Him, because I got so caught up with the approval of society, wanting to feel loved and needed by my friends, that I dwelt too much on my feelings of loneliness. That caused me to miss out on what God was trying to provide for me. Another thing is to seek counsel. So that's point number 3. Remember to be wise, when choosing who to talk to. I mentioned this briefly above. To elaborate, not everyone have the same capacity to understand, care and empathize, in which case can cause more emotional disturbance. Keeping our emotions in may not also be the wisest thing to do, as it can be unhealthy. Sometimes all we need to feel better is to know that someone is there willing to listen to us, to feel as if we matter and that someone cares for us. So finding the right person is important. People have said that happiness can be found within, and I think that is true in some ways. Being constantly dependent on external factors such as people or worldly possessions, money, power, fame, to provide happiness in our lives isn't something that will last forever. In fact, even if we are surrounded by friends and family, we can still experience loneliness from time to time. I know I have felt this way before, but I've come to learn that relying on someone is important, but it's also important to not let it get to the point of total dependency. We cannot expect someone to be there for us 24/7. I cannot ask and expect that of someone else because it just isn't fair, and frankly, it isn't helpful as well. This is something that I've recognized and accepted along the way, that there will never be another human being to satisfy every desire that my heart yearns for. As a Catholic, I believe that Christ, who is constant and unwavering, is faithful, and only He can fulfill our deepest longings. Nehemiah chapter 8 verse 10 tells us that, "Do not be sad, for the joy of the Lord is your stronghold." So I say one sure way to deal with and not run away from loneliness is to root ourselves in God's love. He allows us to be filled with His joy, and it's only through Him that we can find everlasting happiness. So to recap everything, the 4 points I spoke about is: number 1, recognizing our emotions and thoughts. Number 2, to ask ourselves if we are lonely or if we let ourselves be lonely. Number 3, to seek the right counsel. And number 4, to discover happiness within through God. During this journey of reflecting back, I realized that changing the way I approach my own state of loneliness actually helped me to discover that the empty feelings I felt could and did actually provide me opportunities for my own personal growth. I'm praying that you too can find your way through this with the support of those around you. Take care and God bless.